Good evening. Thank you all for coming. I'm Charles Myers. I'm the publisher of Rizzoli and the very proud publisher of Chris Stein's second book for us, which is called Point of View. I'd like to thank Rachel Warren, board chair of Cooper Union, and Laura Sparks, president of Cooper Union, who are both, I think, here. Thank you for having us. And Kim and Tim of the amazing Cooper Union team. While Chris's first book, Negative, is a very personal photographic portrait of his relationships with Debbie Harry and their peers, and that evolved into Blondie and the punk scene, Point of View, the new book, portrays the New York City that Chris came of age in. Its decrepit decay, its endless assortment of out-there characters, its low-rent clubs and bars, and its influence on Chris, Debbie, and the artists and musicians who Chris photographed generating the music scene and the extraordinary creativity of that period. I often hear young people saying they wish they had lived in New York City during the 70s. And this book duly begins with such words by John Ronson. So let me just say that I first heard Parallel Lines in 1979, standing on line in the not-so-romantic setting of a chop shop for stolen cars on 125th Street. I was a Columbia student deeply in love with my 10-year-old Volkswagen Beetle, which I parked innocently on Riverside Drive. People wouldn't steal a Bug in those days, it just wasn't worth it. My radio had long been replaced by a Benzie box. Do you all know what a Benzie box is? It was a removable radio and tape deck. Mine was fancy, it had a tape deck. My car was not fancy. But my music was safe, and the only thing worth having with this car was the battery, which was in Volkswagens conveniently placed under the back seat and really easily stolen. About once a semester, usually right before finals, mine would be taken, and I'd trek to this chop shop to buy something remarkably similar to it back. That particular night, which was wet and cold and a lot like tonight, while they were looking in the back for the right battery, and the longer it took, the more you knew they were cruising the streets to find another VW Bug. Over the shop radio came this driving beat and the most angelic but hardly innocent of voices. It was, of course, Heart of Glass, somehow directly confronting and yet wisely transcending misfortune, absorbing despair but moving forward, an anthem for the New York City of its time. I fell in love with the album and played the tape over and over and over until the cassette duly jammed in my Benzie box. This kind of thing happened a lot in the analog age. And so Blondie became the only music that car could ever play. And if I am to be nostalgic tonight, let me wistfully note that somewhere in a car graveyard in the South Bronx is not only my car, but my Parallel Lines tape. To discuss tonight the look of New York in those days, and much of it took place very close to here, and the music of its time, we're pleased to have Rob Roth, multidisciplinary artist, director who's interested in rituals of film, theater, performance, and sound art, often using all these media simultaneously in his live work. Rob has exhibited and performed at the New Museum, PS1, the Museum of Arts and Design, Deutsche Projects, and the Whitney Museum. His work had its early fertilization in the 1990s at legendary nightclub Mother, and he has worked on and off with Chris and Debbie for many, many years. He is the director of their latest music video, Doom or Destiny, which is from the album Pollinator. Rob, welcome, and thank you. What can I say about our heroine, Debbie Harry? She rocks and absolutely can still rock the house. She's also been a rock to us and to Chris, joining him on tour to promote both his books. She has, we note with great anticipation, her long-awaited own memoir coming out sometime not too soon for her. Complex songstress, incandescent frontwoman, fashion icon, chart-topping success singer, fearless spirit, She was inducted into the Hall of Fame for Blondie in 2006, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and with more than 50 million albums sold worldwide, as well as her own acclaimed solo music projects, she's also engaged in a successful acting career with over 30 film and television roles. From irreverent Lower East Side punk goddess to international ambassador of New York Cool, she will forever be synonymous with the punk spirit that lives somewhere in all New Yorkers. She is nothing less than a New York and national treasure. Chris Stein, our man of the hour. We're fortunate to have his music and his photographic eye so honestly, curiously, powerfully, poignantly, and deadpan humorously recording New York since the 1960s. We're rewarded throughout the book with his conversational, matter-of-fact anecdotes and his stories of his circle while seismic changes in art and music were happening. Chris has exhibited his photography in galleries around the world and collaborated with a host of artists, including Warhol, Basquiat, William Burroughs, Devo, Glenn O'Brien, and Shepard Fairey. On behalf of Rizzoli and all of us here tonight, Chris, thank you for your legacy and your point of view.
Well, hello. What a good audience. We were just backstage. I was saying that they should have dressed as presidents. I think he could have been Lincoln and Debbie could have been Washington, but she looked at the statue back there and said he looked like he was a prick. So I don't think it's going to happen.
I put it. One. It's on my Instagram, so I need more followers always. So
Chris.
Yeah. So Rob,
congratulations on your second book from Rizzoli.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's really good. I picked some of the ones I like a lot or spoke to me. But before we go through them, why don't you tell them what the difference between this book and the last book was?
Well, the first book was a little more flamboyant and had more of the classic stuff. You know, the stuff, I mean, I'm not like Mick Rock, who has like fabulous pictures of everybody in the music business ad infinitum and has a, you know, a bottomless pit of fabulous images of everybody in the music business. So the stuff I have is more finite and, you know, it's limited because I was always doing my day job at the same time as I was taking pictures. And so you know, some of the shots, like there's only one little series of Andy shooting Debbie, that kind of stuff, you know, and I only have 2 pictures of Debbie and Bowie, but I saved one for the second book here. But
were a lot of them outtakes from the first book's kind of editing process?
So you know, I do really enjoy looking at Instagram, and there's a lot of great street photographers on there. There's actually a couple of people I met through Instagram in the house tonight. Like
that's how we meet people now.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I don't like do Grindr or any of that shit.
I do.
Because that's like, you know, I don't know. That seems really weird for me. I mean, at least, you know, when you're talking to somebody on Instagram, you can cultivate a relationship over the weeks. It's different. You see that you like
dick pics. It's the same thing. It's just dicks.
Yeah. You see that you like the same things, you know, whatever. You're not going on the superficiality of just what their mug looks like.
Well, funny enough, one of the pictures that I think is so great, which reminds, this guy was ahead of his time, kind of, in a way, with the picture in a second now it would be, but the...
yeah, that's up by Central Park. But so...
What was that? Did you just...
This guy, I don't know, I just passed by and he was there. It's just the one frame of him.
It's pretty
great.
Some Polaroid.
So, you know, I was inspired by Instagram with this, you know, the level of fabulousness of the street photography, and I thought I might be able to put together a bunch of stuff that gave an atmosphere for the period in New York. Ba-bing, that's it.
So what I wanted to start with was the cover. So I actually want to talk about Anya Phillips, who's Anya Phillips fan. Tell us about Anya and what was happening this day.
That was we went to shoot photos on the Staten Island ferry.
Yeah.
For Legs and John's Punk magazine, and that was for a fumetti. And some of you might know what a fumetti is. A fumetti is a style of comic book with balloons, speech balloons and thought balloons, but photographs. Started in, I think, Italy and Spain in the early 60s as a style, and was picked up by, like Help magazine. You ever hear of Help magazine? Anybody? Help magazine? Yeah, it's a really, if you can find old copies of Help magazine, it's like way, it was way beyond what Mad magazine was, which was cruder, They had fumettis in there, and Holstrom picked up on this, and everybody went to the Staten Island ferry and shot pictures.
So do you think, Debbie, you could get on the Staten Island ferry with a fake Tommy gun now?
And that was before,
What would happen if you went on the Staten Island ferry now with that? Yeah.
That was before it had to have the orange thing on the barrel, too.
Oh,
Now you have to have a little orange piece of plastic so they think before they kill you when they see you.
I don't know, that looks like it actually could have shot something.
Is it real?
Could have been little plastic things, maybe.
I mean, the way you're holding it. Well, and let's talk about your outfit, Debbie. Is this it's like a crocheted overall hot pant? Who did what? Where's this? Who made that?
Yeah, where did you get that?
My fashion sense.
I know. It's where and what's Anya doing?
I don't know.
So how did you meet Anya? How did you meet Anya? Or did you both meet her at the same time?
Maybe from White's Pub? Did you?
No.
But she worked there with you, didn't she?
No. She was working up on 42nd Street.
For people who don't know who Anya is, who was Anya Phillips?
Anya Phillips was a fashionista and influencer back in back in the days before we used the term influencer.
She and Sylvia lived together.
She lived with Sylvia Reed, who was married to Lou.
Yeah.
And then she was the better half of James Chance forever.
Yeah.
And helped form a lot of the contortions, James White and the Blacks, all of that stuff. And she died age 25, I think, of cancer. It was very sudden. It came on her and just took her really quickly. And it was,
She did your dress on plastic letters, the pink one, right?
The pink dress is by
But was
Anya.
she also a dominatrix too, or because her name kept coming up, like from Chi-Chi and all these people that we know through the years. And was she a dominatrix too?
Probably.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's other pictures that are more in that vein.
I think we have the one of. So then there's this one. Oh, this is the same shoot. Well, she has a whip, so maybe, but.
Oh, we had a great time once. Not from this picture. This is from the Nick Detroit shoot. We went down to this thing in Wilmington, Delaware. The Sleaze Convention.
That was before this. That was the first annual Sleaze Convention, which was run by some of John Waters' people, I think.
John was involved.
And it was the first time we met a lot of the John Waters people. We didn't met him. We met Edie, and maybe like Mink Stoll or some of those guys.
Did you meet John at that festival?
No, we didn't meet him, but we met Edie for sure. And it was just weird. It was like in a warehouse, and there were like green painted mannequins, and I don't remember.
What made it sleazy?
Just everything.
So moving on. Okay, I have to talk about, speaking of Grindr, so gay dogs.
Gay dogs.
Is this Fire Island or
No, this is like right on the west side near Christopher Street.
Really?
Yeah. It might be like actually on West Street, on the West Side Highway there.
Okay, and what's the grapes do you think about?
Come on.
Is it like
it's suggestive?
The There's like a little grape in the queen of, are you feeding the...
Don't look at me.
I just think this one
looks like grapes to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really. Maybe there's something I'm missing from.
But we played a gig at probably 1974, maybe 74 or 5.
No,
which
before
was,
then.
Anyway, it was super early on. It was like the first time they set up on Christopher Street for Pride. And they had like a little platform, and we played there. And I can't find any information online. I can't really find what year it was or anything. But it was Stonewall was like 69. So this was like, you know, just a few years later.
Okay, and then we need to talk about her. So is this the statue that had in your book?
Yeah,
in the book.
This is it. You have to
there's
get
a
the book.
story where you found this and the eyes were painted
Yes,
over.
when I bought this at a junk store for literally, it's like life size. It's like, you know, it's like 5 feet tall and weighs a ton. And I had to drag it up 5 flights of stairs on a really hot summer day all by myself. And they also had a really scary priest. And he was
Oh, with it? It had a
I
two.
didn't buy the priest because it was just too scary and weird. But, you know, in later years I discovered it's Mother Cabrini, who is the American saint. And she's holding a book that says, Omnia possum et eo, all is possible in him. And her eyes were painted over with eyes. And I saw a little, you know, as when I got it upstairs, I saw that there was some glass underneath, and I scraped them off, and it was really creepy glass eyes. And I still have it.
You still have her?
Yeah, it's in my basement upstate.
So you know her?
Do I know Mother Cabrini?
Yeah. So this has been with you for...
Yeah, no, yes, it's been with me for whatever.
Where? It's upstate? She's
yeah,
upstate?
I still have it upstate.
Oh, okay.
But,
I thought maybe it got lost.
And it was at my mother's for the longest time. My mother had it. It was stayed in our apartment on 58th Street after we left. And then Dee Ramone was really afraid of it, and he was living at my apartment where it was.
Oh,
and
he stabbed it.
He stabbed holes in it with a kitchen knife. So the holes are still in it.
Oh, Dee Dee. Okay, speaking of other characters, Eric Emerson. Tell me about Eric, because I don't really know a lot about him.
Eric was one of the Warhol superstars. He's in Heat and Lonesome Cowboys and has a really great scene in Chelsea Girls. Towards the end of Chelsea Girls, where the screens become one screen instead of a split screen, and he does this great monologue about how he's tripping out of his fucking mind, and he does this monologue about how he wants to be sweat, and that, you know, he wants to be sweat dripping on somebody, and etc. So he was a great character, and he also was a musician. And when I started going to Mercer Art Center to see the dolls, I hooked up with Eric, because who I thought was really terrific. He would yodel. It was one of his things he would do. They used to do the William Tell Overture, and he would come out and yodel. And you know, if you watch that show Vinyl, if you suffered through Vinyl a little bit, they shouted out to his band, the Magic Tramps, at one point, and they played one of their songs, which is really, because they're so fucking obscure, so you got to give them credit for that. But, you know.
So this isn't, I read in the book, that's not a real tattoo, or it's half real?
The stilettos we wrote on his arm, this is promo.
Was he going to get it tattooed?
The dagger is tattooed.
But not, the stilettos he just wrote
for
the picture?
Is written in the blank space.
I thought like maybe he was going to tattoo it, but then you became Blondie, and he would have been.
No.
Oh. Do you have?
He had a relationship with Elda, who was in the Stilettos. So they have a son together. Yeah.
Do you have any good stories about him?
About Eric?
Yeah.
Well.
You can tell.
You can tell any of it.
She's thinking.
Eric was really a ladies' man. He was like, forget about it. He just, you know.
Got it. Okay.
And man too. I mean, just, you know, he covered his bases.
Well, the story in your book is so amazing because it's so cinematic, where he's tripping on acid and drove through the Holland Tunnel the wrong way.
Yeah.
And there was cops at the other end waiting for him.
Yeah, that was major.
Yeah, that's pretty major. With wings. I mean, you should read it.
It was on Halloween.
Okay.
Yes, why doesn't anybody dress anymore?
In wings on acid going the wrong way through the Holland Tunnel. It probably happens, actually. Who knows? Terrorists. All right. Here's the part where we got to talk about William Burroughs' cat.
Yeah, that cat, you know,
This is one of my favorite pictures in the book. I mean, look at that cat.
Well,
They're so happy.
Bill really loved cats, and one of the reasons he said he carried a cane was because he didn't like dogs. And if a dog came upon him, he could fend it off, yes. But he loved cats. He wrote the book called The Cat Inside.
You told me about it, and I got it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like his version of a children's book, but I love it.
It's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a weird children's book.
Yeah, but it's got, you know, anecdotes about his cats, like...
Do you know the name of this cat?
No, I don't know the name. He had a bunch of cats. I don't know. This is in Kansas.
Was this his favorite cat?
I don't know. No, I don't. I think he was, you know...
Debbie thought there was something in the cheeks that was... What did you say? You thought that it had, like...
Well, you know, cats that, you know, are free and sort of, especially male cats, they get smacked and they get these abscesses in their cheeks. And I don't know, maybe this cat is just naturally cheeky.
I just can't get over the expression. But
Yeah.
it's leading me now, Debbie, to Daniel.
Daniel.
Tell us about... This is your cat.
Yeah. Well, I got this cat from a woman that I worked with at Max's. We were waitresses. Her name was Karen, and she was a painter. And she was a cat woman. She had lots of cats, myriad cats. And Daniel was one of the cats, and she convinced me that I should take Daniel, who's named after Dan Christensen, I think his name is. And then I had another cat named Vermeer. And so I had these two cats, and that's Daniel.
But did Daniel lived in the city with you here, in this neighborhood?
Well, he lived everywhere.
Oh, did he? Oh, he was the one who roamed around.
Yeah, but he lived in the city and in the country.
So the other two cats came with him?
Vermeer did, but no, Sunday Man was one of Vermeer's kittens.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. So that's not Sunday. Sunday Man was later.
Sunday Man was later.
And
yeah.
Sunday Man is the inspiration for Sunday Girl, the song.
It's in the mix.
It's in the mix.
What that song is about.
How did that?
Because we were on tour, and he was with her sister, and she said he ran away, and we were just heartbroken because he was a really nice cat.
Yeah.
And so it was very sad.
So that's what prompted this song.
This song is a little melancholy.
Okay.
So.
Got it. I've never asked you that. Let's talk about this. So I love this photo, but you didn't shoot color much. You mostly shot black and white. Is that a choice?
Maybe like a quarter color to 3/4 black and white, something like that.
But that you preferred black and white, I'm going to assume.
Black and white you underexpose and color you overexpose. That's all I remember.
And did you use... What was your favorite camera? Because there's that last one with the cat. Was that a medium format?
Huh? The which?
The one with Debbie with the cat. I mean, or is it just cropped that way? Is that?
Oh yeah, that could have been like a Rolleiflex type thing. I didn't have Hasselblads at that point.
But what was your favorite camera?
Just whatever I could get my hands on. Really, it wasn't.
And where was this?
That's just somewhere on the Lower East Side. You know, I don't know, somewhere east of First Avenue.
I mean, I was just telling someone the other day I really miss burning dumpsters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird, but it's true. But let's talk, since you just said the Lower East Side, I tried to get this shot yesterday, but I couldn't find a building that would let me in. So,
yeah.
But I thought that's Katz's Deli. And we were just talking about how that's the only thing, someone can correct us, that is still the same. I'm not sure there's anything else there that's the same now.
Yeah, the gas station. I mean, it just always brings me back to the fact that there are almost no gas stations.
No, there's none.
In Manhattan at this point.
You're fucked if you run out of gas in Manhattan.
I had a panic attack.
You had a panic attack?
Yeah.
When?
I called him up.
Trying to find gas.
Trying to find gas, yeah.
Oh, God. When?
I was stuck in traffic.
On E?
On what?
On E.
On E?
E, empty.
Yeah, I'm on E. I was below.
Not the drug, not the drug.
I was below E.
You wouldn't have a panic attack if you were on E.
I was on E. Yeah, both. Actually, both.
Yeah, you can't find them anymore. But I love that it. Right now, it's like the Ludlow Hotel. It's all hotels now. It's so bizarre how everybody wants to. Nobody wanted to live there.
I guess
before.
the Katz's people own their building.
They what?
I guess they own the building and don't want to sell their air rights.
No, they wouldn't sell. Yeah.
Because you know the alarm store on Canal Street. There's like a spy camera. Yeah. So I was buddies with that when I lived in Tribeca. I was buddies with the guy who owned the store there, and he got all kinds of big ass offers for the air rights above the alarm store from hotels and this and that. He just told them all to fuck off. So
good for him. Okay, so this, Debbie, what are you paying for? Or what is? And who are these guys? This is so great. Look at these guys. They're either speeding away.
That was my change, and they're driving off.
Okay. Oh, you're selling stuff. I see. Do you remember this day?
No.
I'm just like, what is she selling or buying? I knew that would come in handy eventually. Well, I think it must be the same as this, right?
This is the same
World
moment.
Trade Center, because it's the same top.
This is Debbie on top of the World Trade Center.
Right.
And right around where she is, if you see those railings, I'm pretty sure this is the South Tower. And if you look, you used to be able to look, and Philippe Petit's autograph was there for where he crossed over on the wire. And he signed the wall, like right at that spot.
Rope. Yeah.
I wish I had taken a picture of that, but I didn't realize any of the implications of what was going on at this moment, obviously.
Well, were you guys just going?
There was, there's some other pictures in the lobby, and there was some kind of happening art event or some fucking thing was going on. So we went and just
Was that the only time you ever went?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I feel like I was up there more than once.
Maybe a second time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I never went, and then when I did, it was kind of amazing because your whole life is out in front of you. Like, you're like, oh, I went to school there, and oh, I did that. Oh, I peed over there. Like, it's just really fun. But, okay, and this is one of my favorites.
Well,
What's her name?
That's Vanessa.
Who is that?
That
Vanessa.
was a friend, Elvira, who was a girlfriend, an old girlfriend of mine.
Yeah.
That was her daughter. And Elvira went out with the original Dolls drummer, Billy Murcia, prior to me. And the kid, probably had a hard time growing up, needless to say. So I think they're kind of estranged. I hope she doesn't sue me if she ever sees her picture in the book. But
and was this Thompson Square Park?
what?
What park was this, or where was this?
I don't know. Yeah, this is probably maybe Tompkins Square or Washington. It's got to be just one of those two.
It's pretty amazing. What do you have a favorite in the book?
Not really. I mean,
or one that you think?
I like the one of Lester on the beach is really great. I don't know if you've got it in
I don't have that one
your
here.
collection in here.
You'll have to buy the book.
Yeah.
Okay, this is also amazing.
So this is the Brattles, and the kid with the red jacket is Branch Emerson, who is Eric Emerson's son.
Is that the son with
Elda? And the kid looking down in the front is Eric's son with Jane Forth.
I see where you're...
So they were, Jane, when I met Eric, he was living with Jane on the Lower East Side somewhere, and then they broke up, and then he came to live with me in that apartment that we're seeing Katz's out the window of. And these guys were in a kid band called the Brattles, and I produced, it's probably like 1980 already by this point. I produced a couple of tracks with them. I did like an EP with them. And they famously opened up for The Clash at Bonds on Times Square. Really? Yeah, that was kind of the high point of their career.
And that's Fab Five Freddy.
That's Freddie, Freddie is,
So is this, what year was this about?
Probably about 80, probably around 1980.
Is it Rapture had come out already?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what year. I don't know.
Who knows?
And Snooky Tate was a great, musician, artist. I produced an album with him too, but it's pretty obscure, but he was terrific.
Okay, let's see what we want. What was the other one? These two. This couple is kind of amazing. Tell me about this handsome couple.
That's on the bus on, in Brooklyn. Damn, I think like on Ocean Avenue, I think, that was coming from the beach. And these guys were pissed that they didn't have enough money for a limo or something,
I was wondering if they were like getting married at a late
I don't know.
stage.
No,
I make up stories. I like making up stories.
Yeah.
But did you have any influences like Diane Arbus or anyone that you thought of while you were doing photography, or you just?
You mean did I?
Were there times that did you just go out looking for these kind of situations?
I don't know why I had a camera on the bus. I was just coming back from. I had a girlfriend at the beach at Sheepshead Bay. We'd go back and forth. She did photography a little too, so it's just I don't know if I was really looking specifically.
Because you seem to find pretty good moments. Okay, and then we could talk now about the Ramones.
Yeah, well, that was that was in Arturo's loft, right over here.
Yeah.
On what is now Joey Ramone Place. That was pretty early on, and those guys were, they were just great from the get-go. I knew Tommy from a band he had at Mercer Arts Center. I think it was called Butch. And he approached me at one point and said, I heard you guys found a place downtown to play, meaning CBGB's. He said, I have a band called the Ramones. I thought it was a Latin band because of the name. And, and it turned out they were what they were. And we probably were at the first time they played at CBGB's. I would, pretty sure. And then they used to play little showcases around town at different, studio type situations,
Do you remember the first time you met the Ramones or Joey? Do you remember the first time you saw him?
What was that? The Performance Place? Was that what it was
I think it was called Performance Studios. Yeah,
Performance.
Maybe
it's
that.
Probably might be it. I don't remember this first CBGB's gig per se, but I do remember.
It was like a showcase. They did like little showcase things, try to get people interested. There'd be 10, 20 people there, something like that.
I think you guys got along with them more than any other band. Is that? Or
no, not necessarily.
Not really.
I think that we both really liked them.
Yeah, we were just
all very much.
They were all really great. I was friendly with all of them,
Do you have a good Joey story?
What?
Joey. Do you have a good Joey story?
A good Joey story?
Yeah.
Well, we had fun doing that little fumetti thing when I had it, where I was in bed and I was transforming into the other creature. That was fun.
Yeah, Joey was great. I mean, Joey is like, we saw him transform from this sort of very withdrawn, nerdy character into this, really powerful rock star guy by the end. He was, that was a moving experience when I look back and think of the whole thing as a totality,
What's the story? You were driving down the highway once and you saw him in a car. Wasn't he driving next to you? I thought I remember you told me that once or something.
I was driving?
You were driving and then he was in the car next to you and you were giving
right. God, it was so weird. I was coming down from Woodstock maybe, and I was I think it was just driving across 287, and there's this little car in front of me, and there's this sort of big, massive. This big, massive head in this little tiny car with, all of this hair, and I thought, oh wow, I wonder if that's a big poodle. Standard-sized poodle. So I speed up, and I pull alongside, and then I look over, and it's Joey in the back seat. I had no idea where they were going. I start honking, and honking, and, they're just getting nervous because I'm honking, and finally, we connected.
It's a poodle. It's a poodle.
But I mean, I don't know if, like, you ever read Monty's book? You guys know Monty's Melnick's book? I don't know, what's it called? Like On the Road with the Ramones or something. Monty was with them all the time. He was like their tour manager guy.
Yeah.
And the book is great. I don't know why that is an option for a fucking movie, because it's just like
so insightful.
They were in their van. Those guys could have afforded a tour bus, but they stayed with their fucking little panel truck van, and they all sat in the same seat every single time they were in the van, you know.
But they had a routine, and
it
served them well,
Yeah, they were all kind of ADHD,
Yeah.
Well, Joey had, kind of
with the music and everything.
But I can't say enough about the Ramones. They were a complete entity.
Yeah.
So you ended the book with your images of 9/11.
9/11.
What is that? Because you felt like it was how I feel about it, the end of this very defining moment
Barbara,
in time.
my wife, and I had just come back from Burning Man, I think, for the second time. So this is 5 days later. So it's going to Burning Man is a bit of a culture shock when you come back into the real world anyway. And I was home, and I lived like right here, right where over there, to the right of where the book name is. There was a loft there in Tribeca, and this is on Greenwich Street between Watts and Desbrosses, which is a block and a half below Canal Street. And I walked our big dog around the block, and I brought the dog back home. And I heard a really loud plane engine, which is louder than just a passing thing. And I heard this muffled, like that, this thud. It wasn't that loud. And and then like 5 minutes later, the phone started going crazy, and people are going, "Oh God, turn the TV on," and that was it. And it was all downhill from there. I don't think I realized what a fucking big deal it was going to be at the moment.
And you chose to end the book with it
Well, because it was a big transition for the city. And now what I recently discovered that I had no idea about was in 2004 there was a big push by the deputy mayor, this guy named I can't remember, Doctor-ish or something weird name with the word doctor in it. It was a big push to have the 2012 Olympics in New York City, which would bring a tremendous amount of revenue into the city. They already had contracts with, I think, a third of the hotels in the whole city for the rooms, et cetera. They were going to build an Olympic Village on Staten Island or whatever the fuck it was, and build stadiums and shit. So this brought a tremendous amount of interest and revenue into the city. So for me, just the 9/11 was the tipping point for the corporate onslaught that we see now,
Well, I always kind of pinpointed as this real flip into the new century, like of everything that has changed in the cities particularly, but everywhere. It's sort of this pinpoint in time, that it's kind of before and after. You can kind of pinpoint the differences. But what do you think has changed the most since then?
I don't think anything. I mean, it's just a progression. I was, thinking about the Trade Center. It's so American, to have something, sort of big and splashy, sort of apropos, because we had been on the road in Europe so much, and there were bombings and, all kinds of stuff going on over there for years.
Yeah, we were in Northern Ireland where all the hotels would have a barbed wire and sandbags around them and all that kind of stuff.
So of course, we had to do it bigger and better, And I mean, it's not a nice thing for me to say, but
well, we all know that the election was competing with Brexit because they not to be outdone for stupidity.
Okay, so look.
Yeah, that's
how
what-
cute you two.
She still looks the same. She has her fucking painting in the basement somewhere.
Hey, that's a good idea for a film. Let's do that. Picture of Debbie, Harry, Greg. So what, did you self-time this one? Or
No, I would hand the camera off to people. And I think that was that guy Alex. You remember that guy Alex? Sort of
Yes.
cute guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gave me those wrist things.
Yeah, I think that was
later
him.
got
but I'm not
stolen.
positive.
what wrist things?
These beautiful leather cuffs that, they've
Oh
sort
yeah,
of-
with the ones with the bone.
they molded onto your arm.
Oh yeah.
They're beautiful.
Oh, who stole them? I guess if you
Our
knew.
landlord, Benton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, where was this landlord? Where was this building?
That's at CBGB's.
Oh, this isn't CBGB's,
sure,
but where
yeah.
were you living? On the Bowery? At this point, where were you living?
I don't know. It was probably before. I think I had. By the time we moved to the
Yes,
Bowery,
it
I
was
think
probably before.
I think I had a haircut by the time we moved to the Bowery.
Oh. And how much was your rent on the Bowery? I always love asking
I
this
don't know,
question.
$100 or something, whatever the heck,
Because you had
That was for the whole building.
$100 for the whole building?
No, it was 3 floors above a liquor store.
Yeah.
It was 266 Bowery. I keep hearing it's going to be torn down. In the fan bubble world, they keep saying they know it's going to be torn down. And we were there recently, like about 8 years ago, with a TV crew from somewhere, and it's all still there, and the top floor is still destroyed, and it's completely. I mean, it's some off-site landlord who doesn't give a fuck about it.
And you had an apartment on St. Mark's that was how much a month?
Oh,
The big one with all the room.
that's embarrassing.
I know. That's why I'm asking.
Well, it was $67, and it was 4 rooms.
Yeah.
Top floor, and I asked for a new refrigerator, and it went up to $72, which was I was very aggressive about that, but it didn't do any good.
How many apartments did you, like in this area, did you guys live in? Do you think? It was the Bowery, St. Mark's, and then were there, it was
We lived
first
on
and first?
Thompson Street. No.
Thompson Street.
Oh, you lived on Thompson?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Debbie lived on Thompson Street, and that's when I would stay with her there a lot. But I still had the apartment on First and First, which had been taken over by Tommy Ramone and Dee Dee, and a lot of people came and went.
And then from those, did you move to the Bowery? Is that, would
Yeah,
that be
from
the
Thompson
next
Street
move?
we moved to the Bowery, because when we were on Thompson Street, it was still like full-on mean streets with the old guys sitting in front of the social clubs and all this kind of stuff going
Yeah.
on. And they can do that same story. I'll do one day Debbie was away visiting her parents in Cooperstown. Her parents lived, where the baseball is. And I was waiting for her to come back. And all of a sudden, right across the street from us, this group of the local guys are kicking the shit out of some black dude who has wandered into the neighborhood by mistake, right? Just like stomping him. And everybody's just watching, and all of a sudden, I hear a voice go, "Oh, no, stop, call the police." And it's her. And from that moment on, we were like completely on the outs with the neighborhood. And I had to
Don't fuck with Debbie
I mean,
Harry.
it was like the villagers with the pitchforks, It was, and
Had to go- yeah.
No, we had to leave.
we had to leave. The apartment got broken into 3 times, and they stole her winter coat and all this shit. And I always thought it was a direct result of her not supporting neighborhood policy.
Well, the other thing that happened that was really the manager of the building. Remember him?
Yeah.
He used to run numbers. So one day he asked me to pick a number, so I picked a number, and it was 444. He said, "Oh no, triples never win." And the next day it hit.
I don't remember. So he got pissed off. I don't really remember that.
Yeah,
That's why you had to leave.
that's why I had to leave.
Well, we did. Debbie worked in a bar downtown, and this guy used to come in and give her horse tips. And one time he gave us a tip on the Daily Double, and it hit. And I won like $100 or $10. But if I had put down $100, I would have really cleaned up, but nobody had any fucking money. So.
I just read something maybe it's in the book or you quoted that you didn't think you would miss the grime and the dangers as much as you do now.
Oh, you mean about the general conversation about the past versus the present?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, there's a lot to be said for both situations. One of the real big ones for me was, I tried to mention it in the book, but I don't know how successful it is, was when I first noticed clothing stores like the Gap and Banana Republic, which were selling this bland fucking stuff that looked like things you would get from your parents at Christmas and then throw away, And this was the shit that was in the window, just like a fucking simple blue shirt with a fucking button-down collar, and this is like, high fashion elevated to this fucking level. And so that for me was because we always really went out of our way to dress odd or fringe or, and there were a lot of really strange-looking people. There was a lot of, freak representation. I mean, I guess it's still going on, but for the norm to be very bland the way it is weird to me now, Maybe it's the fault of grunge, those guys, because, with the plaid shirts, I mean, it's pretty simplistic. I don't know.
He's mad at grunge.
Let him be mad at grunge. It's okay.
Mad.
I like,
No, I said the other day, oh, yeah, I really like grunge. I'm really into grunge now. And he said, what, because they start soft and get loud? I said, yeah, they get loud, they get loud.
That's it. That's the formula. So apologies to grunge. What can I say?
And did the one thing I wanted to ask you, because we were talking recently about your pillowcase dress, remember? Did that happen? Did you actually pull a pillowcase out of a dumpster?
Did I pull it? Well, I've worn several pillowcase dresses, so you have to be...
Okay, which one came from a dumpster? Did any of them come from a dumpster?
The zebra one.
Okay.
That came from, I don't even know if it was a dumpster. It could have been just laying there on the street.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that was and you fashioned that yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. The night of the show? Were you walking to the show?
No. The landlord, Benton.
Oh.
He was, on the street a lot, and he said, here, make this. This could be a really good dress.
Wow, he was pretty helpful. Yeah. But you had other pillowcase dresses.
I had another pillowcase dress, and actually I reprised it for Mark Jacobs' birthday party.
I know, that's why
about a year or so ago.
Thinking of this.
And it's a really good idea.
You used gaffer's tape around?
Yeah, you just put cut armholes and wind it with gaffer's tape, and they look great.
Yeah. Fashion tomorrow there's going to be they're going to sell out of pillowcases at Bed Bath & Beyond. They'll be like, what's this? Well, they're either kidnapping someone or they're going to... Is there a favorite picture of yours in the book?
My picture?
No, like which one? Is there a picture that you like in the new book that's your favorite? Or that
I really
resonates?
do like the one with Daniel. I feel, I really feel like he's expressing, complete, get me out of here look. And I'm like so in love with him. I'm just like squeezing my cat, it's like,
We came home to the Bowery one day, like in the daytime, and the three cats had killed a rat that was like
a big rat
the size of a raccoon, and they were all just sitting around it like so proudly, and that was it.
It was very cute.
Yeah. It was
were they always bringing dead things home? They were like, he would roam, right? He was like a city cat. He could go out.
Yeah, he went out. He had other homes.
There was a courtyard on the Bowery. Did he go in the courtyard?
No.
No, he didn't.
No, that was danger.
Yeah,
there
were cats. They
all got poisoned by.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Somebody came and put poison in.
Well, or they'd eat the rat
butcher's
poison
dog
or whatever the fuck.
ate poison too. He was very upset.
Oh,
but they saved us, right? Didn't the cats wake us up that night with the?
Yes.
Right?
Our cats
they
saved
woke
our
up
lives.
Howie, the cat.
Ow.
When we were on the Bowery, there was a very old boiler, and you had to like go down and adjust the water levels or something like that. So there was one weekend in, I don't know, near, it was around Christmas, and the pilot light on the boiler went out, thereby pumping up this.
The pump was still pumping.
Yeah, this toxic shit
Soot.
that the boiler ran on, whatever kind of gas it was running on. And there was, I think Howie was sleeping in the front.
No, that was Gary.
Gary, probably somebody.
Yeah.
And the cat woke him up, and he woke us up, and we all had like black around our nostrils. Really? And I was like really dizzy and lightheaded, and we had to open the windows. And
See, this is why cats rule.
Yeah.
I love dogs, but cats are smarter.
Yeah.
Is that which is the apartment that burned, the kitchen burned, that famous
That was
picture?
later. That was 17th Street.
Oh, that was way later.
Well,
There were no cats in that apartment, were there?
There were cats there.
Did they
there.
survive?
The same
Yeah,
cats.
yeah, they went in the closet.
Oh, really? The same cats?
Yeah, they hid in the closet.
You had smart cats. They were probably like, these fucking people. What the fuck? I want a new owner.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
Well, I picked also this one, Union Square, 14th Street. But do you remember this day? Where were you guys
It
going?
was summer.
Yeah.
It was hot, yeah.
Yeah, this was the same moment as some of those Times Square shots, like the guys in the masks.
Guys with the masks.
Oh, okay.
We
Okay,
were
cool.
going up, I think it was, may have been all of us, or we met up there, met Elda and
Yeah.
girls from the Stilettos up by Times Square.
Yeah, we're doing stilettos shoot, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, I was told we have 10 minutes left, so I'm taking the opportunity to have you sign my book. And so Chris is going to sign books down in the pit after we're done, but he's
Okay.
only signing the book. I was told to specifically tell all of you.
Especially, you know, and I got to tell you this, we never sign pick guards from guitars, because if you go on eBay, there's 8 million fucking Michael Jackson guitars, and it's just somebody gave him a fucking pick guard to sign, and you know, so we're pretty good with spotting professionals at this
Yes,
point.
so just the book. This is what I was
just the book,
specifically told.
Just for the sake of time. I really like to, does anybody have like a really great question? What they think is an amazing question?
It has to be a great question, because I don't want to hear your life story about how Heart of Glass saved your life, or the first time you had sex to Rapture, because we all did. Also, wait, what were you telling me though about signing in the colors? The pens, or if they're blue or they're red or something?
Yeah, I just found this out. Somehow, the blue ink in the Sharpies lasts longer, doesn't fade.
So that's another sign of professional autograph people.
And also, somehow, if you, I don't know how it's done, but supposedly the blue ink, you can make a reproduction of it somehow.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is, you know, I don't know who.
She
told
pointed
us
that we
this?
were somewhere, and the fans were, and she was like, blue pen.
Yeah, the one
I
with
was
the
like,
blue pen.
Why? What do you have against blue pens?
Because we have guys who'll come up to us at the airport, and he'll have like every album,
Yeah.
but he just bought them. You know, they're still in the shrink wrap. So, you know, yeah, I'm a fan for years, yeah.
Oh, well, I was there. Did you want to see if there's one question?
I would be
Is
happy
there
to
one? Okay,
talk.
well,
I
come
heard
here. He stood up first.
Chris is a professional cynic, so be prepared.
What's your? Oh God, he wrote it down.
On page 194, there's a photo of a phone, a calendar,
Yes.
and a device displaying Debbie's name on a screen.
Right.
What's that? What's that?
Probably,
monitor?
I'm really not specifically sure. I know what image it is, though, but it's probably just backstage at some TV thing we were doing. You know, I can't, but it's very primitive. I was about, yes, there you go. Great minds. But yeah, it's very primitive.
Is it the one at the table with like it's a round? But there's a book, right? There's a book that's Lolita.
I think the calendar says 1979. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know. Specifically,
That was good,
I can't
though.
tell
I
you.
thought it was good. Thank you.
I mean, technology has come a long fucking way, you know.
No, I know. Well, that's okay. So I'm gonna leave it by saying everyone needs to follow Chris on every social media because it's so fucking.
Well,
funny.
I fucking despise Facebook. It's like a.
You will not accept that. Yeah.
It's just such a toxic fucking environment at this point, and it's even beyond the politics and the toxicity. Just what it looks like is so bad. Yeah. It looks.
He said it looks like a dentist's office or
it looks like a utility bill.
Yeah.
You know, it looks
like a utility bill.
And it looks like when you're coming back from, you know, when you're coming back through customs and you have to fill out the customs form, you know.
I don't
That's
know.
what
He
it
wanted
looks
to
like.
know where this was.
And why is that supposed to be conducive to anything but discussing dead animals? And
that's the
picture. Yeah.
We're looking at the photo.
So I can't,
nobody's
you know, I can't with like, you know, this elephant is starving to death, and then all this personal shit about people's families and all the suffering that they're going through. Now, you know, I kind of fucked up because I have a lot of fans. You know, I think maybe if I only had like 100 people on my Facebook thing.
Well, I meant Instagram mostly and Twitter.
Yeah,
for you.
mostly I do
because
Instagram.
His photos are amazing on Instagram, but he's also like the meme queen. Like you're like we're on this texting thing together, and Chris is like with all the memes and the animated GIFs before you can even press anything. He's like bam, bam, bam.
As you know, as much as I love the past, I'm one of those people that stares at their phone all the fucking time, too. So, you know, I just find all the really funny shit on Twitter and then put it on my Instagram stories. That's
all right. Well,
it's life in the fast lane.
Thank you all so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you, guys.